You know, a car crash happens in just a few seconds, right? But what you do in those moments right after, well, that can change everything that comes next. So, what are the absolute must-do steps you need to take? Let's get into it.
Just picture this. You're driving, minding your own business, and then you hear it. That horrible sound every single driver dreads. It doesn't seem like much, maybe just a little fender bender. But that stress? Oh yeah, it hits you instantly.
So in that moment of panic, your first thought might be, it's nothing, I should just go. Maybe it feels easier to just keep driving and pretend it didn't happen. But that instinct, as common as it is a huge mistake, one that could have really serious consequences. So why exactly is driving on such a critical error?
Okay, this is the main thing to get right off the bat. Stopping isn't just, the nice thing to do. It is absolutely non-negotiable. It carries a ton of legal, safety, and frankly, moral weight. Let's break down why.
First and foremost, stopping is the law. It doesn't matter how small you think the accident is, you are legally required to stop your vehicle, period. Not doing so can mean fines, losing your license, or even worse. This is not optional. It's a requirement.
And get this, the stakes can be unbelievably high. You might think, oh, it's just a tiny scratch. But in some places, driving away from even the most minor damage can land you with a felony hit-and-run charge. A felony? For a scratch? I mean, that changes everything, doesn't it?
Okay, beyond the law, there's the immediate safety of it all. Adrenaline is a powerful thing, and it can totally mask injuries. Stopping gives you that crucial moment to check. Are you okay? Are your passengers okay? What about the people in the other car? And it lets you flick on your hazard lights, which is a super simple action that warns other drivers and can prevent a way more serious pileup.
And then, of course, there's the money side of things. Your insurance company is almost definitely going to require some kind of documentation, usually a police report, to process a claim. If you don't stop, you can't get that report. And that one decision could literally be the difference between a smooth claim process and a complete financial nightmare. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to being a decent human being. Stopping to check on someone to see if they need help, that's not just a rule, it's just the right thing to do. That simple act of responsibility could make all the difference.
So, when you look at it side by side like this, the choice is pretty clear, right? On one side, you've got doing the right thing legally, keeping everyone safe, and getting things resolved. And on the other, you're looking at potential criminal charges, putting others at risk, and facing some really severe penalties. It's a no-brainer.
Okay, so we've established why you have to stop, but the next really important question is, where do you stop? Because doing it safely, well, that's everything. All right, here's your game plan. First things first, take a second and assess the scene. Can you actually move your car? If the answer is yes, your number one goal is to get out of the flow of traffic. Pull over to the shoulder or, hey, even a nearby parking lot if you can. But be smart about it. Don't stop on a blind curve or right over the crest of a hill. And the second you're stopped, bam, those hazard lights go on immediately.
Now this part's really important. When do you move the car and when do you leave it put? The rule of thumb is pretty clear. If it's a minor accident, nobody seems hurt, and the cars are drivable, then yes, get them to a safe spot. But if there's serious damage, or if there's even a chance someone's injured, you leave everything exactly where it is. Why? Because moving the cars could mess up the evidence the police need for their investigation.
All right, so you've stopped, you're in a safe spot. Now what? Let's walk through the checklist of what you absolutely need to do right there at the scene.
This part is totally non-negotiable. You have to exchange information. And I don't just mean getting a name and a phone number. You need their insurance company and policy number, their driver's license number, their license plate. If the police come, you better believe you're getting the officer's badge number and the report number. Think of each of these details as a crucial piece of a puzzle you're going to have to solve later.
So what's the trigger for calling 911? It's actually really simple. If anyone is hurt, even if it just seems like a little bump, or if there's significant damage to the cars, you call 911. No hesitation. Honestly, when in doubt, just make the call. Your phone is your absolute best friend in this situation. It's time to become your own investigator. Take big, wide photos to capture the whole scene, then get right up close and take pictures of all the damage on every car involved. And if there are any witnesses, get their contact info right then and there. Trust me, people are way less likely to get involved later, so that moment is golden. Okay, now we need to talk about a different kind of scenario. It's one we all hope we never have to face, but one you absolutely need to be ready for. The staged accident.
This is where you have to listen to your instincts. What if the whole thing just feels off? Maybe the other driver is way too aggressive, or their story just doesn't add up. What do you do when your gut is screaming at you that this is not a normal car accident?
The playbook here is very, very specific, and it's all about your personal safety. First, trust that feeling. Do not get out of your car. Lock your doors. If your car is still drivable, don't just pull over, drive directly to the nearest police station. If you can't move, stay in the car with the doors locked. Call 911 and tell the dispatcher exactly what's happening, that you think it's a scam and you feel unsafe.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's boil all of this down into a simple, easy-to-remember playbook that you can actually recall when your heart is pounding.
So, let's lock this in. What are the big takeaways? Number 1, stop. Always, it is the law. Number 2, get to a safe spot if you can and get those hazard lights on. 3, check for injuries, and when in doubt, call 911. 4, document everything. Information, photos, any witnesses. And finally, number 5, if your gut tells you something's not right, listen to it. Prioritize your safety, lock your doors, and call for help.
And that's really what this is all about, isn't it? The only thing that separates pure panic from a clear plan is a little bit of preparation. Just knowing these steps helps you take control of a chaotic situation, protect yourself, and handle it the right way.
It really makes you think, though. This whole idea of having a clear, tactical plan for something totally unexpected and super stressful, that's a powerful tool. So how might that same mindset, that ability to turn chaos into a series of clear steps, change how you handle other challenges that life throws at you?
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.